Won't you pray with me? God of grace and mercy and love, we know that you give us the tools that we need, tools that we might not recognize immediately as tools, and tools that might look different from the things that you have given our neighbors. But God, we know that you would not call us without giving us what we need to fulfill that call. And so, God, this morning we ask that the meditation of my lips and of all of our hearts be pleasing in your sight, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. When I was a freshman in college, I had a roommate that knew how to crochet. And I noticed her doing this thing in the evenings sometimes, especially when it was cold. And I asked her to teach me how to do it. And I learned, and I don't really do it the same way that most people do. And sometimes my creations look a little funky, but for the most part, being able to crochet has been an opportunity for ministry for me. I've used that opportunity to make hats for older people and for babies. I've used that opportunity to make prayer shawls for people. I've used this skill that I just wanted to learn as an opportunity to share with others love that they may not have received in other ways. Friends, this morning I want to invite you to think about the gifts and talents that you have, that you can use in different times and different places. And think about how these gifts and talents might be things that have equipped you to fulfill your call. Some things might include a gift of music. Some things might include a gift of sending cards. Some things might include a gift of prayer. Some things might include a gift of calling your neighbor or talking to your neighbor. The list actually is endless, and there is no right or wrong answer to the question of what is your gift. This passage, the passage from 1 Samuel, shares how David was equipped by his prior and perhaps seemingly unrelated experience to take on this new challenge of battling Goliath. While David was not at this point an experienced warrior, he did know what it was like to protect his flock from predators, just as Israel needed protection from Goliath, the Philistine. Like David, we are called to stay on the path that God has set for us. This does not mean that our path or direction never changes, but rather that we always pay attention to whether these changes or challenges are coming from God or somewhere else. David would not be deterred just because Saul did not think he was capable of battling Goliath. Like David, each of us is unique and will have our own God-given way to follow our call. While trying to be like other people can be helpful, we need to stay on our own path. David could not wear the armor that was meant for Saul. He had to fight the battle in his own way. God gave David the wisdom and the strength to stay on the path marked out for him. God will do this for each of us as well. If we continually seek God's guidance amid pressures and influences from others, we will find just that. God has equipped us and will not leave us lonely. Confidence is key to following your purpose or call. But confidence in what? or who? First and foremost, David had great confidence in God. God was the source of his power. From within this space of confidence in God, David also recognized his gifts and had confidence in the execution of those gifts. God used all of David's experiences as a shepherd to help him face the battle with Goliath. God will use our experiences that made us who we are as we are called to face new and difficult things. God has prepared and is preparing us for things to come. Our secular experiences can be used for God, both within the church and outside of it. David's example from our passage from 1 Samuel this morning shows us about the relationship between faith and call. Call is a journey. David's faith was what gave him the strength for the moment. David knew that God had a reason, and because he knew God and knew that God had a reason, he did not fear. David has experienced God's intervention and victory. When God calls us, we do not need to be afraid. We can trust that God has given us the tools that we need. We can trust that not only has God given us the tools, but we'll make sure that we know how to use them when it's time. David was not afraid to use his gifts. He saw other ways outside of being a shepherd to use his gifts. Too often, we limit the use of our gifts. But God has equipped us to bring about the best. Our callings often go beyond the work of the church operations. Sometimes our vocational callings are sacred work. I think about Peter and Joe, who both have skills with their hands, and outside of their church time and church ministry, they used those skills in their daily life and daily jobs. And because of that, they are able to use those skills to help make the building and the landscape and the physical plant of the church a better place. Are there ways that your job, the thing that you do every day or did every day, might be a gift that you could use inside of the church to face the new and unexpected challenges that we will face together? Friends, that's the challenge that I have for you this week. I want you to think about the gifts and graces that you have, the things that God has given you, equipped you with to help you on this path that God has called you to. Spend some time talking to God about the ways that you can use those gifts inside and outside of the church. Spend some time thinking about exactly what it looks like to use the things that God has given you to do ministry. May it be so. Amen.